a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Well, my guest today is in Ontario, and she is a radio host. And on her show, she interviews arts people in the arts and musicians, songwriters, etc. So, time to find out more about her, ladies and gentlemen. Joyce Aldrich, welcome to the show.
Oh, very happy to be here, Nancy. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And the name of your show is the Joyce Aldrich Show, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. And I've been on air here at CHHA since 2008. And before COVID, I took a hiatus for 3 years. Not because of COVID. It was like I said, I want to do some artwork and I want to write some songs, that kind of thing. But when I came back, before my show was called A Drink of Water. Nobody knew what that was about. It was like, so I thought, that's it. I'm coming back with the Joyce Aldrich Show, and that'll be a lot easier. And, it's been much more successful because people know what they're looking at, And I was thinking about what Lucille Ball said. She said, always use your name. Use your name. And I thought she was right,
Yeah, I have that same issue because my last name is Guitar. People often think it's just about music. But I want to keep my name because it's my name, right? So
it's a fabulous name. Are you kidding me? I thought Nancy Guitar. That's amazing.
I know, it's great. Yeah.
It's
So you in your I was looking at your profile on Facebook, and it says you interview guests like musicians, writers, actors, etc. So do you have one person on a week, or how does that work for you?
Well, it's a 2-hour show from 7 to 9 on CHHA 1610 AM. And usually what I like to do is between 7 and 8, I have a guest on. And, I give them the whole hour, because to let them tell their story. Because
Right.
People have stories, and it's so hard for local artists. And I say local, that's anyone in Canada, because that's our license to play 70% CanCon. So especially local, rather than commercial. So that 25% other. Anyway, the point is that I give them their time and I play their music, or talk about whatever, or play music that will be complimentary if they're an actor or if they're a writer or whatever like that. And it works really nicely. And then I ask them, I always invite them to stay for the second hour because that's when I play other music, and they chime in about, whoever I'm playing and stuff like that. And we have another conversation. Sometimes talking more about them, but it's more relaxed, and it's always relaxed, because I like to have conversations rather than interviews, because that makes it conversational. Like people are coming in to a party and they see an interesting conversation in the room and they go and listen in,
Yeah. Very
yeah.
Good. Yeah. So now, is that you personally reach out to those people to invite them to your show, or do you have somebody that does that for you?
Oh no, it's community radio, so you wear many, many hats.
Yes.
So that one. So you produce, you host, you drive the board. I drive the board. And I program the overnight music here for CHHA 1610 AM, and I'm cleaning up the music library and adding stuff and categorizing and the whole thing. So it's a family.
Right. Yeah. When did you begin on radio?
Good question. I had started back when I was 18 years of age. I had enrolled at Seneca for radio and television arts because I thought before that I wanted to be an archaeologist, but you know what? My math was terrible. You need math. So I thought, okay, I'll go into radio and television. So I did one semester of that, but without going into too much detail, because there was stuff happening in my family, and I wasn't able to continue my my college education. So I had to quit after the first semester. So it was awful, but won't go into that detail. It's just ridiculously horrible. And I ended up going out and working and doing stuff. So, but the thing is that as fate would have it, when you're meant to do something, you will do it. It's the truth. So after getting married and being in my 30s, I started working at newspaper offices like Bradford Gazette and the Bradford Times, and then the York Region News, and being a reporter. And then I ended up with a Rogers cable show called Interstellar UFO Show, very interesting, for 4.5 years. And then I left the area, and I came down, and I started on CFRB with my friend Errol Bruce Knapp, who had a great show called Strange Days Indeed, and another one called Mind Shift. So I was able to come in on those programs with editorial commentary, which was fun, And then I came here at CHHA with a Cuban band, because I've been singing in a Cuban band. This is a big story. I was singing the Cuban band, Pablo Terry and Sol de Cuba, for, and we were invited here to play at San Lorenzo, do a show. And then I sort of I liked the community. And so I ended up, I noticed that they had a radio station, and I noticed they had English programming, but they didn't have a program in it. So I approached Hernan Astudillo, who was then Father Astudillo. Now he's Monsignor Astudillo, who created this radio station for the Hispanic community, because they need La Voz de la Comunidad, the voice of the community. Everyone needs a voice. And I said, do you need any actual program in there? And within 15 minutes, he gave me a program.
That's so
And
awesome.
and that was back in 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, so and I love this place. I absolutely love the people. And here, even though I was in the Cuban band singing in Spanish, my Spanish was awful. But here, Hernan said, you got to speak Spanish here. I just finished a team meeting upstairs completely in Spanish. So as the importante habla en español aquí, So I had my Spanish got better all of a sudden, But I do an English program to help integrate the Hispanic community into Canadian society, so they hear English because they turn the music on in the morning and the whole day, and then they hear us, speaking English at night on, basically from 7 to 9.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a large Cuban audience?
Cuban, and yeah, there is, but there's even a larger Central and South American audience, because large contingency of people from Ecuador and from El Salvador especially. But yeah, we have the whole Hispanic community, and our reach for the station is right around Lake Ontario. So right now we're at about 100,000 around Lake Ontario. So north of Barrie, west of Niagara Falls, over to Cornwall, south of Buffalo. So we hit northern New York State as well. And if you're in the middle of the lake, in a boat or a catamaran or a ship, you can hear us too, to all the ships at sea.
That's pretty good. Now,
Yeah.
because you have such a variety of guests,
Mhm.
imagine the musicians are from all the genres.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I love. I think it's really important to have that variety. And as a matter of fact, when I program the music overnight, the music is like Italian, Portuguese, Tagalog. We have Filipino programming here. We have Italian, and we have English and Spanish, of course, and all the genres. So if you listen overnight to the programming, it's this beautiful, mix of genres, and it helps to change the ear. Oh yeah, everything goes.
Right. Very good. Yeah. So, and on the writers, when you talk about writers, is that musical writers, or does that again cover authors for books?
Yeah, of course, songwriters, definitely, because a lot of the musicians come on here are songwriters, indie artists, but definitely authors. I do have authors on. I've got someone coming in who wrote a book called Connections. He'll be on I think the 24th of yeah, he's coming in. I think it's not this week, but the next week. I've got to go check my schedule. And I've got another author who's written a book on finances. He'll be on in October. And I've got someone from Israel who's written a book about trauma, how he's a psychologist. So things like that. So yeah, all different kind of subjects,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And also
Sorry.
Also, people who act, actors and actresses as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. But before that, I was just wondering, how long ahead do you book your guests?
That's a good question. Right now, I'm booked, and I've got a couple of dates available in October, but I book about 6 to 8 weeks ahead. But the thing that's nice, because I have 2 hours, I book those in the 7 to 8 slot. But if I really have to have a guest on earlier, I've got the 8 to 9 slot. I can slide in. I won't do the music. I'll just have 2 guests that night.
Okay, right.
It gives me flexibility.
Yeah, it is nice to have that, right?
Yeah, it really is. Am I
Yeah.
dark? I'm just thinking, can you see my face okay? It's like a little dark. The window is up here, you know. It's like I'm in a cubby hole.
Well, it's kind of like what I'm in is it's really my dining room that I've converted into what I call my Zoom room.
Excellent. Well, it looks great. It looks great.
But you can't tell, it's just all these curtains I have, like, hiding the light and stuff.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
It works on the camera like this. So, gone
Yeah.
are the days when
Yeah.
set up where there was 3 cameras set up. Well, I don't have that anymore, but it doesn't matter. It's all good, right?
Yeah, it's been so nice to meet you too,
Well, thank you. It's nice to meet you too. It's really interesting,
And we connected on LinkedIn.
Is that how it was?
Yeah, we connected via LinkedIn.
Oh, okay, because I don't always remember, it's really difficult.
It's amazing. I've connected with a lot of great people there. But yes, you said it was interesting. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, no, I forgot what I was going to ask you a question that just went out of my head. Oh, now I know. Yeah, do you have guests that return?
Oh, yes. Well, you see, I just returned from a hiatus, like I said, of 3 years back in March. So I haven't had any repetitive guests yet. Well, before when I was on, I do have repetitive guests, but not that often.
Right.
Unless they have something coming up. I like to have people come on if they have an event coming up.
Yeah.
So we can promote it. It gives a little more tooth to the interview and to the conversation, because I don't do interviews. But yeah. So we have something to talk about, something that people get excited about, or if they've got an album or a book or some sort of release, Yeah.
I like to do the same thing. Like if you have something coming up, definitely come on the show. And, the difference between you and I is you're on radio. So it's just the audio, right?
Yep. It's the theater of the mind, right? It's radio. So, so people build their own, and I've had artists on, like visual artists on, done that a few times, and that's interesting to talk about someone's artwork on radio. But then of course, while I'm on air, I always refer them to their web page or their Instagram page or wherever they have their work, so that they can look at it along, with the interview. But they always have concepts and philosophies and interesting things to talk about regarding their art. So, sometimes the visuals in the mind.
For sure, yeah. Just thinking about radio, it has such a deep history. I mean, I don't know when radio first began, but way before.
Mr. Marconi, Italian guy.
Right. But I don't remember what year that was? What century?
It was the 20th. Yeah, early 20th. But yeah, radio is important. And it, because, when you think about the way it used to be, we didn't have television before. We had radio, and they had all the great radio plays and the programs, like The Shadow, and all the, mysteries and they had all the sound effects and everything. So it really is theater of the mind. It's like when you read a book.
Yes.
You build a picture. So instead of reading it, you hear the words. So
that's right. Apparently that's why some people didn't make it in TV, because they didn't have the voice or the facial features that that were okay on radio or something.
Let me say, I got a great face for radio.
But radio people have I find radio people usually have a certain kind of voice too. That
there is, and that is very true. My daughter said to someone, "Here, listen to my mom on radio. This is not how she actually talks." But it's true, because excuse me as I clear my voice, because on air, it's such a sensitive thing, to hear somebody. And it's not like you have to do a Ted Baxter, like, on it's very, oh yeah, I'm Ted Baxter, and nothing like that. But intonation is very important. And as we're talking right now, we go up and down in our voices, we have intonation, and it's like music. And when you want to hear someone, it's like you want to be able to, you don't have to be fake or anything, but just give it a little more of that, and it just out, instead of being really harsh, it just helps. I mean, a lot of people don't go for the radio voice kind of thing, but I think it's a beautiful thing because it mellows everything out,
Right.
and it's easier to hear somebody when they're, in
And
that
yeah, and it has to be
mode.
clear, right? It has to be clear.
It has to be clear. Absolutely, it has to be clear.
Because when you're watching somebody speak, you can pick up when they're not a little bit clear, but you can pick it up because you can actually see the movement of their mouth, right?
And there's also body language, right? You
Right.
don't have body language on air, but you have a smile. You can hear a smile in
Yes.
someone's voice. You can hear, excitement. There's all kinds of emotions you can hear in the voice, and that's what you want to get across. And it just comes naturally, really, when people just let themselves relax and just go with it, and not have to worry about, oh, how do I sound, It comes. It comes.
All right. Do you have guests both in person and on phone?
Good question. Yes, we have the ability to do phone interviews, Zoom interviews, which actually do go simulcast to our Facebook. So I could do a Zoom interview that's like this.
Mhm.
Absolutely, we have the ability to do that, and of course, phone. Yeah, absolutely. Because not like I'll do a phone interview, for instance. No, I'm going to do a Zoom interview with the people in Israel that I want to have interviews with, and you can have anyone in the world. Where are you located? I don't know.
I'm in Chilliwack, British Columbia.
You're in Chile. Look at you. Hey, wow. That's wonderful. That's great. A little earlier there for you. Yeah, I have family up in Alberta. So yeah,
Yeah.
fabulous.
Well, this is what happened for me. Like COVID opened a whole new world with Zoom, I hadn't heard of
Mhm.
it before. And suddenly it's like I can interview people no matter where they are,
Exactly.
which is
It's
beautiful. I've had
wonderful.
guests in New Zealand and China, and it's like, oh yeah. Of course,
It is a whole new world. Yeah.
of course, the time, I have to always pay attention to the time zones.
That's right. That's right. Because, exactly when it comes to Israel, yeah, or in China, yeah, and you got the international date line that you have to cross over as well. Consider that,
Yeah. So another question now, without obviously naming names, do you have your favorites that you've interviewed?
Yeah, there are some. I love, I recently interviewed a wonderful singer-songwriter, Roseanne Baker Thornley. Gotta listen to her music. Her music is amazing, and her stories are amazing. She helps so many other musicians, but yeah, I loved having her on, and I had a fabulous guest last week. Her name is Gold Power Velez, and she's Colombian, and she was raised in the jungles of Colombia.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah, and she makes this amazing artwork with gold that actually she's mined. She's an art what they call an artisan miner. So she mines like semi-precious stones and precious stones and gold, but also she takes old cell phones and old computers. Did
Mhm.
you know there's 10 to 24 karat gold in every computer or cell phone?
Oh my goodness, wow. Oh,
And
that's so fascinating.
she mines that. She takes that all out of the phones and she makes this amazing artwork. Now, about $150,000 a piece, but she's telling me her story, her view of for the planet, her plan. Beautiful. I mean, these kind of people. I actually went the whole 2 hours with her. We got to keep telling your story because it was so amazing.
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, one of I think you have for Zoom where I have a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't have that hours, right? But of course, my show is called Small Talk for that reason, and I keep them short. But the most wonderful thing, and I'm sure you feel the same thing, is when you meet a guest, whether it's on the phone or in person, that you just feel the strong connection to.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
it
There's some.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's some people like you feel like it's like pulling teeth, to get information out of them,
Yes.
or it's just not the vibe,
Yeah.
like it's like you're trying to connect, and usually no problem. People feel really relaxed. They say, "Oh, that was fun," and it was. Oh, yeah, I had a great group.
Yeah, for sure. I
I,
think,
I, I all these music groups that come in, I have a lot of people playing live in here too, right?
oh, nice.
Play live guitar, or I'm hoping to get Dr. Draw in. I'm hoping he comes in this Sunday. I'm waiting for him to come. He's got the golden violin.
Oh,
And
oh, that'd be exciting. How very
yeah,
exciting. I mean, I get excited when I'm speaking to people, depending on what well, like you say, sometimes it's like pulling teeth, but when they're really, really responding, it is exciting, right?
it is. And one thing, relates to another. And you can, like, I don't like to get, people say, well, what questions are you going to ask me on radio? And I say, well, we're just going to have a conversation. Really, I said, if you got specific bullet points you want to make sure that I hit in the show because you're going to have a gig here, or you got this release, or you got whatever it is,
Yes.
so we'll talk about it at some point during it. The conversation. I keep saying interview, but you know what I mean. And we hit the points, but it's more natural, like we're having in this conversation now. It's really nice, it's not stilted or it because what happens when you prepare too much pre-production, the show can go flat.
I agree. I used to do it that way. I used to have prepared questions, but yeah, no longer. It took me a while to realize that just do have conversations. That's it, right?
Exactly, because if you have a pre-production meeting, you've already talked about everything. So when you get on air, what do you talk about?
Oh,
And the same excitement's not there. Like when you've got the pre-production, oh yeah, you did that. Wow, when did you? And it's like it's all gone because it's done.
yeah, for sure.
You
Yeah.
know?
I love it. Yeah, I love what you do, and I enjoy what I do. So I think we're gonna have to stay connected because I'm just thinking we could share guests. I could recommend, and maybe you could recommend. That would be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, that would be nice. We could certainly do that, and that's important, as well. There's room for everybody, in this on this planet, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people forget. They're so, like want to hold on to their space and but talk about your stuff. Like I can share your stuff online, and you can share mine. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like share and share alike.
It's a
Yeah.
win-win. It's a win-win.
It is completely, and it helps the artists, What
Yes.
are we here for? What are we here for but to, promote and help other people? Sorry, I got an itchy eye. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
recently said to me they would like to talk to start a podcast, and they said They said to me, I don't want to step on your toes, and I said, well, why would you be stepping on my toes? I'm sure you're going to have a totally different way of doing your things, so it's no bother to me, right?
Follow your dreams,
Yeah,
whatever they are. Absolutely.
I'm like, go for it. Like, yes.
Good for you. I'm glad you said that because a lot of people get all prickly, and there's no need to.
I get prickly when somebody tells me how I should be doing it. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm not new at it.
No, I understand where you're coming from too, because if something's working and people are responding, then if it ain't broke, don't fix it, That's the thing. And everyone's got their own personality. Everyone's got an opinion, believe me, And I'm learning the hard way not to ask people, so what do you think? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, yeah, the show's really good, but then, I go, why not? I know, but sometimes a lot of times they're right. And I go, oh yeah.
I don't want to hear about it. I have a thin skin. I don't want to hear about it. I'll say if you have some criticism, tell it to somebody else, Or filter it.
Well, constructive criticism is always good, I mean, like, yeah, it's good. It's good. But I know what you mean. Like, people who aren't in the business or don't know or whatever, is what it is. People are people everywhere.
Oh, I've been told things like, oh, you shouldn't be so much emotion in your face or whatever. It's like, what? I'm going to be flat otherwise, we can't do flat.
Yeah, and you know what? Some people have, very straight faces, but I mean, I know you said you have a lot of emotion. I have a rubber face, and sometimes people think I'm angry, or that's why radio is perfect for me because they see me. It's like, but that, yeah, if you got a rubber face, you got a rubber face. It shows all the stuff, and that's cool.
That's right.
That's fine.
Exactly. Be who
I
you
got a
are,
rubber
right?
face. Hmm?
Be who you are.
That's the most important thing. To be yourself, then you're not going to go wrong. I mean, obviously, you can't be a jerk. you
No,
know.
yeah.
But yeah, but to be true to yourself.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
agree.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to end it there, but just stay on camera, okay? Just want to remind the audience that you've been listening to Joyce Aldrich, and I'll share her information when her show is and what station you can listen to, and hopefully you'll do that. That would be really nice. And if you're an artist or a musician or actor, whatever, she's open to interviewing all of you, just like I am. So that's kind of cool, right?
Absolutely. Give me a shout. We'll work it all out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And I'm a singer-songwriter as well. So if they go on YouTube, they can hear my music.
Very good. Oh yeah, that's exactly. We'll have to have you on another time just to talk about your music, about the things you do personally.
That's okay. I'm happy to be here for other musicians. It gives me a lot of happiness.
Very good. Yeah. Anyway, to everybody, again, thank you for watching the show. Take care and peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.